All right. Here we go. I'm curious if you know the intro song.
I think he does.
Is it
I think
playing
you
now?
might too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know the intro song. One of my favorite Lucero songs.
There we go.
It was Texas, it was Tennessee.
Alrighty, welcome in, folks. Thanks for joining us tonight. You have arrived at the Texas to Tennessee podcast. My name's Steve. To my left, upper left, is Soul Gravy. And tonight we are really fortunate to have Kolton Moore from Kolton Moore and the Clever Few join us. Welcome in, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. We are been looking forward to this one. We look forward to all of them, but especially looking forward to getting to chat with you. So thanks for making time for us.
Absolutely.
You bet. If you don't mind, Kolton, maybe for folks, if for some reason they aren't familiar with you, you could just take a couple minutes and give us just a little bit of your backstory, and then we'll get into some trading questions.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know how far you want me to go back. We won't go all the way back to conception, but we'll start in the music space. I started playing drums when I was 6 years old, and graduated to guitar when I was 13 or 14, and then all that led to where we're at today in some shape or form. Started playing shows in late 2011, early 2012, and around the Fort Worth area, and formed a band. I was playing acoustic shows at first, and then formed a band. In and around all of that, and kind of merged from acoustic act to full band act. And 2013, 12 and 13, we were road dogs, man. We were playing 220 to 250 days, 260, 70 days a year, and not good shows at all. These were just grinding, and the theory was, get in front of as many people as you can, even if it's 5 people a night. That adds up at the end of the year. So we did that for all of 12, all of 13, and most of 2014. And then due to, the nature of that beast and, things happening in personal lives in the band and some extracurricular activities, I decided November 2014 to hang up the towel, just kind of cold turkey. There was no warning. And it was just kind of one morning I woke up and I was like, I'm not doing what I want to be doing. I am, but it's not going the direction that I want it to. So threw in the towel then and spent, all of 2015, 16 and 17, and then some of 2018, doing other things, chasing other dreams, and, didn't touch a guitar, didn't write a song, didn't even think about it. It was just like out of sight, out of mind. Like it was, I kind of looked at it as just like another life, it just wasn't me anymore. And, the flame kind of rekindled in 2018, and here we are today.
Right.
Our fan base grew, in that time that I was away. And, so that's kind of the cliff notes of the whole thing, but.
Perfect. I appreciate it. Well, before we get into asking you a little bit more about some of that, Soul Gravy and I like to play a game at the beginning of every show, and I quiz him on famous folks from where you're from. So Colton's from the Poolville, Weatherford-ish area, I believe. Mm-hmm. Hopefully I'm not doxing you, but anyway, we've got 5 folks, Soul, for you to try to identify.
Okay.
First one is a guy named Zach Britton.
No,
right.
Not familiar.
Zach is a pitcher.
Okay.
I think he pitched for the Orioles and maybe the Yankees. Might still be pitching actually. So he's from the area.
Rest in peace, Bob Euchre, by the way.
That's right.
Saw that today.
Yeah.
Super sad.
Just a bit outside. That's immediately thought of Major League, but
yeah, we're gonna miss him. Jim Wright.
Jim Wright.
Jim Wright. It's a pretty common name.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it's a pretty common name.
Kind of a well-known politician. He was I think the 47th or 48th Speaker of the House. So shout out to Jim. based upon your answers yesterday, you might not get this one, but this is Bob Talman.
No,
All right.
no.
Bob's a personality. He's a rodeo announcer.
Okay.
He's got a
Pretty
great voice.
legendary.
Yep, for
Okay.
sure. All right, these two I think you're going to get. Larry Hagman.
Why do I know that name? I'm not sure.
He played.
I'm guessing
he's
he's
an actor.
athlete. Oh no. Okay.
No, he's
well,
an
never
actor.
mind. I don't know who he is.
All right,
Sorry,
well,
Larry.
He
Sorry,
played.
Larry.
He played JR on Dallas.
Ah.
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
before your
Cowboy,
time.
but
I know.
Just
Yeah.
a tad, just a tad. But
Iconic though,
but he's
nonetheless.
probably still me more cowboy than me, right?
Right, for
Yeah.
sure. And then Taylor Sheridan.
Okay, yeah, familiar
You
with
know
his
who he is.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that's thanks for indulging us on that,
All right.
Colton. But this helps us kind of give an idea to
Yeah.
what's going on around you. So
Yeah.
And that gives me an idea why a lot of the music that is presented on his TV shows and where that comes from.
Exactly. That's a huge part of it.
It makes sense.
absolutely.
Yep.
Yep. All right, Colton. If you don't mind, I think the story is worth repeating. Kind of your post hiatus story about propelling you and the band forward. Do you mind talking about? I think it was 2019. You were playing with another well-known Texas artist, and
Yeah,
things kind of
so-
changed a little bit.
I think it was, I can't remember if it was 18 or 19, one of the two, I can't remember, but that, we'd taken the long break and I still wasn't thinking about, playing by any means. And Co Wetzel and at the time his drummer Dre, we kind of came up playing, Co was opening shows for us 2012, 13 and 14. A lot of times he didn't even have a band. It was just him and his guitar, and he would ride with us, and we'd all get drunk as hell after the show, and it, made the world go round.
Right.
And so, anyways, I went all that time kind of without talking to those guys at all. Just kind of separated myself, and then they both kind of started poking me to play, come play a show with him, and by then, Co had blown up. I mean, he was really killing it on the scene, and I really wasn't interested. I was just like, nah, I'm good, man. I'm kind of out of that whole thing now. And my wife kind of poked me to do it and was like, why don't, I mean, she had never seen me play. We met in the hiatus time frame, and she had never seen me play live and didn't know me in that setting by any means. And so she kind of was like, just go do it and see what you think. And so it was July, I believe, it was hot. It was definitely July or August. And it was like a Monday or Wednesday night during the middle of the week. And I'm not sure why we picked that, but it worked out. And we played at the Twisted J in Stephenville, Texas. And it was sold out. I mean, 2,500 people there, just a line around the building, people waiting to get in. And I just figured, everybody's here to see Co, and I'll just be background noise, and that wasn't really the case. I mean, obviously everybody was there to see Co, but
Sure.
I started playing the very first song on my set, and I couldn't even hear myself because everybody was singing along. I mean, every single person in there, knew every word and played the second and the third and the fourth song. It was like every damn one of them they knew, and I'm like, man, it was like surprised and confused and like so many emotions. I was just like, this doesn't make sense, because before, when we took the break, when we ended in November 2014, that wasn't the case.
Right.
We were still playing pretty shitty bar gigs and barely anybody there. And I mean, the people that would show up were fans and they knew our music, but they didn't know it like that. I mean, they weren't screaming at the top of their lungs by any means. So that we left that night, and my wife and I had a long drive. We were going on a vacation the next day to Rios, New Mexico. And I think there was a lot of that drive that I was just like confused. I just really couldn't digest it,
Right.
and, it got me thinking like, well, maybe this is worth revisiting. Maybe the situation is worth jumping back into with a different, with obviously a few more years age on me and some more maturity and just kind of a different mindset, a different reason for it. And so we did that next year. I played just a few acoustic shows by myself, and they all went really well. You know, really good crowds. Same thing, people screaming every word. And then the next year, the like 2 or 3 days before COVID, so it would have been 2020. We played a full band show, and we had planned on, that was like March 2020. We had planned on doing quite a bit of touring that year, and obviously COVID screwed that up. But like the Friday, I think it was a Friday or Saturday before the world shut down, we played that show, and it was a big sold out deal in Fort Worth. And still at that point, I was still pretty confused and puzzled, but kind of figuring out like, all right, it just took some time, you know. It's kind of one of those things, like distance makes the heart grow fonder, I think is how the phrase goes. It was that happening. So yeah, we played that show, and we had to take the long break because of COVID. We put out a record somewhere in there. I don't remember when, but we put out the Everything Has Changed record, which was obviously, you know, it hit the nail on the head for, everything had changed. You know, everything for me really had changed. I had a fiance at the time, and you know, had another career on the side, and just things were totally different, you know. So that's kind of where that record came about. And then, once the world opened back up, we got on the road, and we went and right off the bat played some out of state shows, which up until 2014 when we quit, we had played a little bit. We had done some runs up to Colorado and Wyoming, and just, you know, kind of scattered around, but they were never great shows, like I said. And we went out of state, kind of our first rip back, and same story. You know, crowds showed up and they knew all the songs, and it was like, man,
Amazing.
It was a great feeling. So yeah, here we are, you know, 4 years after that, 5 years, I guess now. And, still, you know, kicking, and the crowds are growing. And, what are we pointing at?
Oh, I was just pointing at him. Sorry about that. We need a better signal.
I know.
But I can tell when Soul Gravy has a question, a follow-up
Yeah,
question.
Got you. What is
Well, I
it?
was just going to point out, you were, you were talking about the break and everything, and like if I was, just looking at the Spotify numbers, and these songs that your biggest songs, they were out before the comeback. You know.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to point that out to people that, you know, may or may not be familiar with your music, that, you know, that there was that. I guess those songs, because me not knowing about that gap, I would have thought they were, you know, you released that back then, and it was a growing from then, but it actually was like late arrival. It was just the way it sounds, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's the way it felt. It was
crazy.
like, man, these people are kind of late to the scene, you know.
So you didn't really have any nobody kind of told you, hey man, you're, you know, which I guess this is really before the digital, before Spotify and those numbers were available.
It definitely was before that. I mean, I'm sure. I know we had Spotify, but like,
right,
not everybody was paying attention to the numbers like they do now. And I don't know. Aaron, my drummer, he runs all of my, you know, he runs the website, and he does all of our merch fulfillment, and he does a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And he would text me every once in a while. And I mean, literally in those 4 years, I don't think I saw any of the guys in the band. It was just like that was behind me. You know, it was a different life, and was planning on never going back to it. But Aaron would text me every once in a while and be like, hey, this song's doing good. And I'm like, good for it. You know, I'm busy. I'm in the mountain. You know, I was doing something else at the time.
Right.
And so I just I didn't pay any attention to it. I was kind of maybe a little bit bitter, and then just out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, I can understand that. I just, like I said, just looking at the numbers, you wouldn't have guessed that story for sure. So
for sure. Yeah. Yep.
And
it just happened, no marketing, no team behind it. It just, you know, good songs getting around and getting into the right years, I guess, you know.
That's
organic.
Great, really. I mean,
Yeah, super organic. And I think, most musicians at some point, especially independent musicians and a lot of folks, you know, that have big record deals, were you know, some of them were out grinding before, but it's good to hear that story, and obviously there's a dovetail of the streaming. Some timing probably helped. I hear a lot of folks, rightfully so, complaining about streaming, but also, we look at your career and kind of how things built up and go, man, that probably wouldn't have happened without streaming. I mean,
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I think the digital platforms are 100. I mean, maybe not 100%. To blame or whatever, however you want to say it, but like,
sure,
yeah, we took this break, so obviously it wasn't us getting out and playing live shows.
grinding
That's
it.
not what
Yeah,
got us out there. So it was just those songs, and they weren't getting playlisted or anything. So it's crazy that they were just being shared like the good old fashioned way. People listening to it and liking it, and it's not like they went viral or anything. They just got around. And it took a lot of time. It wasn't. I mean, 4 years or really it was 7 years for like that first EP, Mine on Mine, Love Me Instead. Those songs took like 7 years for them to really catch traction. So I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that long.
I
But
mean, there's a few bands that kind of come to mind like that, as far as
Yeah.
like Uncle Lucius kind of
Yep.
taking a hiatus, and then their song took off, and like it's not uncommon. I guess
No.
when you hear about it, but
well, you think Turnpike probably has a few more fans today
I
than
was
they
thinking
used
the
to,
same
right?
thing.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I
maybe
wasn't.
we all
I
should
wasn't.
maybe we should take a hiatus. Soul Gravy.
Yeah.
We're gonna be huge in 3 years. Uh,
Well, we'll see. All right. Okay, Colton. This is the weird question of the evening. Well, there's one at the end, but this is a little bit stranger, and then it'll get pretty normal after that. So we
Yeah.
call it the pie question.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you a pie and ask you to divide it into 4 sections.
Okay.
They all involve music. So one piece of pie is the creation of the song or songwriting. One piece is recording. Another piece is performing, and then the 4th piece is maybe some of or a lot of what Aaron does, and then whatever other assistance you have in terms of running the business,
Yeah.
your own individual music business. My first question is, I guess, where do you naturally gravitate in terms of any of those 4 slices of pie?
Where do I gravitate?
Yep.
I feel like I've got a piece in each, but obviously the creativity and the songwriting side, like that's almost solely my piece of the pie. Ryan Wilcox, my lead guitar player, he's started to help me write. I talked about this the other night, but like I've tried to start doing more co-writing and practice, kind of exercise that muscle, because it's not that I was never good at it, but I just never tried. I had something to say by myself, it's kind of how I looked at it, So, I mean, he's starting to have more of a piece in that, but it's always kind of exclusively been, that's your job. You take care of the creativity side and write good songs. And then, everybody else definitely played a role in all the other parts for sure, and still does.
Makes sense. Which of those areas would you say is the area that you're maybe, I'm sure you're great at all of them, but which is the area that you go, yeah, that's the area that's probably the least fun part of what I do?
Definitely the business side, just looking at the analytics and figuring out what's what. And
Sure.
yeah, that's not why I started this. I'm not going to say I started a business, but it's not why I started songwriting. It's it all came with it because we started making a little money doing it, and that's great. But it's still the shitty part of it. Just and we've always been independent. We still are, and still plan to continue to always be. And so we don't have to jump through a lot of other people's hoops per se, but like you've still got some behind the scenes stuff that's just not ideal.
Yeah.
It's not the way you want to do it. So
Makes sense. I think you had mentioned, Soul's going to perk up here, but I think you mentioned with regard to recording that you got some exciting stuff coming up. Anything that you can share with us?
yeah, so we've got a few projects that are already kind of lined out for the year. So the first one is the project's called Bare Bones, and the idea behind the project it comes from kind of multiple aspects, but the original idea was comes from like the old greatest hits records, and I always think of like Alan Jackson's greatest hits, and I think he had a few of them, but there was one specifically that my dad, we'd be driving down the road in his cherry red 1993 Ford F-150, windows down, had the little triangle windows up front, that you could rip and get the perfect draft in your shorts if you had shorts on, and life was good. But we'd be jamming to that, you knew every single word to all those songs, and always thought that was cool. Never gave it a whole lot of thought until I got older, but I thought it was a really cool concept. Like, take all your best songs, put them on one record, and people are going to listen to it. And so obviously we're no Alan Jackson, but we've got some lifelong fans that have been following us for over a decade now. And I thought something cool to do for mainly those people, and hopefully new people, hear it too and discover us through it. But I thought something cool for those, lifetime fans would be to re-record, take like our top 12 songs and re-record them and put them on a record all together. And I didn't know how at the time when the idea first sparked, didn't know how we were going to re-record them, if we were just going to re-record them as a band, but with better production and better quality, and, being better players now. But anyways, we ended up kind of went through the idea of, well, I'm just going to do them all acoustic. And then we ended up adding other instrumentation. And some of them kind of went bluegrassy. Some of them are real folky, but there's instruments, mandolin, banjo, harmonica, upright bass, piano, and other acoustic guitars. So it turned out really cool, and it ended up feeling like, to me, it felt like brand new songs. Like they don't sound the same, obviously. Yeah. But that one's gonna be cool, and that one's gonna start trickling out. We're gonna do like volumes. We're gonna release it in volumes. So we're gonna do 4 volumes. Each one's going to be 3 songs each, and those are going to start trickling out here in, I don't know, 4 weeks or so, and then they'll release through the next 4 months. So that one's cool. And then we've got, in conjunction with that, I recorded an acoustic EP of some songs that I've been setting on for. A couple of them have been, are 4 or 5 years old, and I know they were never going to make a full band record, but they're songs that I love, and they're songs that are really close to home for me. So I think all three of these songs live well together on their own little EP. So we're going to put that out at some point. I don't know if it's going to be right after Bare Bones or if it's going to be, who knows. We're just going to kind of spritz that out there when we can. And then lastly, we're stepping into the studio in Memphis, Southern Groove Studio with Matt Ross-Spang here in the last week of February. So really stoked about that. I'm stoked to work with Matt. Stoked more than anything to record somewhere that I haven't spent a whole lot of time. Been to Memphis once or twice, but it's, the cool thing about going somewhere else for me is like, you just don't ever know what creativity is going to be sparked and poked in a different place. I know here in my home studio, I know how I feel. I'm here every single day, so I know what the feeling's going to be. And obviously there's creativity always around. But I'm excited to get to Memphis and work with him.
How did that connection happen with Matt?
There was really nobody that connected us. I'd seen his name, come across on the Isbell records and the Stapleton record that he's helped with. And, be an engineer on there. And then Ben, my bass player, just texted me one day a few months ago and was like, have you ever heard of Matt Ross-Spang? And I'm like, yeah, I've heard of him, but I don't know a whole lot about him. And so I kind of did a deep dive on Matt, and we had been in like a 5 or 6 month search for the right producer, because I wanted to do this record coming up with, I guess a heavy hitter type producer, somebody that really I really trust and I really think is going to bring these songs to life, because I've got more faith in these songs than I feel like I ever have in a set of songs. And So anyways, I looked into Matt's, his catalog and looked at his studio, and I was like, this is it. I just had faith that he was going to be like, hell yeah, I'm in. And I just reached out to him on Instagram because that was the only point of contact I had, and said, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. I've got a bunch of songs ready to go into the studio. Like I could head that way tomorrow, or you want to do it? And sent him a Dropbox file with like 25 demos in it. And he got back with me kind of right away and was like, yeah, let's make a record together. So, we had to go through the logistical hoops, but yeah, we're set to be there and start recording February the 22nd. So
Nice.
I'm stoked for it. Yeah.
Yeah. If anybody doesn't know or isn't familiar with Matt, yeah, just Google the
Yeah.
discography.
It's pretty impressive.
It's pretty ridiculous. And he's
Yeah.
kind of I don't want to say unknown treasure. That doesn't sound right, but it doesn't really get the shine that it should. Even in Memphis.
Yeah, he's pretty untapped, but that's what's cool about working with somebody like that is it's I don't know, man. I'm stoked for it. That's
that's
gonna be
cool.
fun.
Well, we're all excited as well. So
Good.
we are nearing halftime, and typically at halftime we like to play one of your songs. So if you're cool with that, we are going to play one.
Yep. So give us a little rundown on the song that you chose.
Which one did I end up choosing? Wherever I Am.
Yep.
So that's the reason why I chose this song, because I knew there was going to be the backstory. Wherever I Am. I started writing it. My wife and I'm a hunter and hunt a lot throughout the year and travel the world hunting. And my wife is not a hunter, but she's not near as stoked on it as I am. But she loves to turkey hunt. So four or 5 years ago, she really showed interest, and she was like, I want to go turkey hunting this year. And so I'm like, all right, if you're showing interest in that, like, let's go. There's a deal called the Grand Slam of turkey hunting, and it's getting all 4 of your subspecies of turkey in a it's not in a single season, but it's really cool to do it in a single spring. And so we killed a Rio Grande here in Texas, which is what, the native bird in Texas. And then we went to Georgia, somewhere in Georgia, and killed an eastern. And then we were headed down I-75. We had to go through Atlanta. We were headed to Central Florida to kill an Osceola. And then we were going to drive all the way to the mountains of Colorado and kill a Merriam. So we were driving. I'd never been to Atlanta, Georgia. And it's funny because it's one of if you look on our Spotify or whatever, our numbers, it's like our top 3 or 4 city. So a lot of people there like our music, which is great. But I hate that place. And I realized that day how much I hate that place. And so, the opening lyric is I-75 south of Atlanta. Something like, I ain't never been here before and I don't plan on coming back. Nothing lost here being found by me. Cause we were stuck in traffic for like 5 hours and, it was just terrible. And so that's where the basis of the song came from. And then obviously the tagline is wherever I am, you're with me. Just kind of it merged into a love song of the sorts, being on the road a lot. I travel, whether it's playing music or hunting or whatever, I'm always traveling. So there's a lot of times where it's really nice having capabilities like this to be able to FaceTime, obviously, because my wife and daughter, it's literally wherever I am, I can at least see their face and hear them laugh and hear them talk. So, but yeah, that's kind of the basis of that song. It was on a turkey hunt and stuck in bullshit Atlanta traffic.
All right, very cool. Well, we will.
Kudos to you to be able to turn a song about where you're gone hunting into a love song. So that's a win-win in all aspects on that. Yeah.
It was funny. 100%. I was starting to write it while we were in that traffic, and my wife looked over and she was like, "You're writing a song, aren't you?" Like, yeah, I think I am. I'm at least starting a song.
Nice.
All right, man.
We'll go silent while we play this so we get a good cut of it.
Yeah, there we go. Wherever I Am, Kolton Moore and the Clever Few. Here we go.
I I-75 south of Atlanta. Traffic backed up as far as the eye can see. And I ain't never been here before, and I don't plan on coming back. Ain't nothing lost here being found by me. Interstate 10 to San Antonio. You can hop on that highway, you can drive it coast to coast. It's funny how they say the road changes a man. 'Cause lately I've been feeling more like a ghost, but I always know wherever I am, you're with me. Even if you really are 3 states away, or in the bed you're right beside me. It don't matter how far, wherever I am. Wherever I am, you're with me. Some county road there in Kentucky. Those rolling hills about as pretty as it gets. Yeah, I wish you were here to see this with me. I'll send you a picture, I'll send you a kiss. Some windy road in Colorado. Yeah, I wish I would've, but how the hell would I know? And all this running around sure catch up to me. By catching up, honey, you's what I mean. Wherever I am, you're with me. Even if you really are 3 states away, or in the bed you're right beside me. Don't matter how far, wherever I am. Wherever I am, you're with me. Wherever I am. Wherever I am. Wherever I am. Oh, you're with me. You're with me.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
The turkey hunting song.
I was supposed to
It was
act like that's
smartly
the first
turned
time
into
I've
a
heard it.
love song. That's funny.
Good
Yeah.
stuff. Well, and I just figured out after I've looked at that album art for a while. I've seen it pop up, and it's obviously Atlanta upside down, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, I'm not very smart, so if I'd probably looked at it closer, I would have figured it out. But yeah,
Yeah,
very
kind
cool.
of a abstract Atlanta.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Good tune, man.
Thank you.
And I know there was a lot of time in between those early recordings and to that song, but you have kind of a wide range of sounds. I mean, I like that part. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you go into when you have when you're going to go in to record these songs, do you already kind of have an idea what you're shooting for, or is it, or do you just kind of flush it out in the studio?
Yeah, I feel like in the early days, maybe not, but from like the Everything Has Changed record, which is right when we came back to now. Yeah, everything's been pretty not scripted, but like we've done either in the writing process or in the pre-production process, we fine-tuned like, all right, this record as a whole is going to be, more rock and roll. That was kind of the self-titled record we put out last December, or not this past, but the previous December 23. That was kind of the goal for it was let's make a rock and roll record. Big guitar sounds, big drums. The songs aren't rock and roll songs necessarily. I mean, some of them yield that way, but it's still it's still our sound. But yeah, it just kind of cultivates with time, I guess. I think every artist has a time in their career, their creativity that they want to make, big sounds or cool sounds or sound a little different, or they want to make acoustic sounds. Like it's just kind of depends on where you're at in life, I guess. But I know this record that we're about to do with Matt, to me, all these songs feel a little more rootsy and kind of how the songs were in the beginning, like the Dear Mom record, our very first full-length record. They feel that direction to me. Lots of acoustic guitar. I mean, I play electric and acoustic on stage, and this last record I was playing electric a lot more, and this one coming up, I feel like I'm going to be on the acoustic a lot more, and I'm cool with that. It's a lot of these songs are really deep, they're really heartfelt. They're about things that are near and dear to me, and that's usually yields to the acoustic guitar versus the electric. So. But yeah, well, that's going to be the cool thing about working with a real producer is Matt may see it different, and he may be like, no, you're going to be on electric and you're going to do this and try this, and maybe it sounds incredible, So yeah, we'll see. That's a part of this next record that I'm stoked for is just to see where it goes.
Yeah.
Because we're going into it pretty open-minded. We're not going to do any pre-production. We're going to try to just all the guys are, they have the songs right now. They're listening to them and getting ideas, but we're not going to get together and play them. That way, when we step into the room to record them, it's not, oh, this is how it's going. Take a couple stabs at it and then call it good. It's like, now let's get in there and be, creative and
play around with
and really spend, if we got to spend a full day on one song, that's fine. That's never been like me because I get pretty impatient, especially in the studio. Because I'm like, most of the time I've been playing those songs for some of these songs that are going to be on this record are, 3 or 4 years old. I had already written them before we put out the last record. They just didn't fit. And then some of them are only, 4 or 5 months old. So, but yeah, I get kind of impatient and I'm like, damn it, I've been playing these songs for 5, 6 years now. You guys just follow me. Let's just get this over with. But yeah, we're gonna be patient and take our time on this one.
Yeah, so when you basically, I'm guessing you would be to catch that spark of hearing it or playing it for the first time around each other like that, instead of being kind of a little, little not worn out on it, but you know what I mean.
Pre-programmed, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no real premeditation together. So it's everybody's listening to these songs on their own.
Yeah.
And some of the guys may be listening to them a lot. Some of them may have just listened a few times and been, they're good enough players that they'll remember it and be able to know, how to play it. But yeah, it's just going to be bringing. That's the cool part about bringing a 5-piece band together. Everybody's going to have a different idea, to some extent. I obviously usually voice my ideas and opinions first, and then if somebody's got something else, they chime in, and then you just, that's music, that's how music's created.
So you are recording it full, your touring band.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All my guys will be there, and it'll be, the full kit and caboodle.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
I might not be your target audience, but I do like people that have, varied sounds. So sometimes I like big sonic landscape, which you have. Sometimes I like the stripped down stuff. So obviously you're going to do what you want, but there are people out there like me that like the variety of it, and so I'm big fan of that.
And that's me as a listener too. I like a variety of all genres, one, and then two, like if there's somebody, can't think off the top of my head, but Gary Clark Jr. is somebody I think about all the time. Like he can play his giant bluesy, nasty guitar tones and have these big rocking songs, and then he can also strip it down, him and an acoustic guitar, and knock your socks off completely. I think he's got that dynamic down. He can do both for sure.
With Kolton, with your I guess strategy of leaving Texas touring wise, I probably should ask this before, but did you know as soon as you saw folks singing the songs back to you that that's what your touring schedule was going to look like moving forward, that you were going to be on the road outside? I mean, obviously you play a lot of shows in Texas as well, but
I think after that first full band run where we played, on that run we played like Fayetteville, Arkansas, Pittsburgh, Kansas, Stillwater, Oklahoma, and then I think we came back to Texas maybe and played a show. But that was like the first time that we had played out of state shows and seen
that kind of reaction.
Lines at the door and crowds, standing at the stage, and that was kind of the point where it was like, all right, we'll continue to do this, not just in Texas and not just around Fort Worth. It'll be more than what it's been. And most of our touring, I think this past year we only played in Texas. We played New Year's 2024 in Texas, and then I can't even think if we played San Antonio. We played a few times in Texas this year. We played San Antonio and College Station, maybe 3 times out of the 25-30 shows. So we played a lot this year. This 2024, we played out east, and we made it up to Chicago and Minneapolis and some places we had never been to. And same thing. Like we might not have done Minneapolis. We did St. Paul, Minnesota on a Sunday night. That was kind of one of the shows that really stood out to me on last year's tour. Was we just kept saying, St. Paul on a Sunday, like how good can that be? Because I didn't know, never been there. And of course it was packed house on a Sunday night. So it was just it's awesome. It's humbling. It's surprising still being that far away from home and that many folks show up, and especially on a Sunday night, and know all the words. And we're going to continue to play. One of my goals for coming up, I guess like 3 to 5 year goals is getting overseas and playing for those folks. I get emails and messages all the time, people asking, come to New Zealand, come to the UK, come to Australia. And so that's I really want to get over there and not just to play shows, but it'll be a good excuse to get over there and see some places I have. I've been to New Zealand before, but I haven't been to the UK or Australia. So that's going to be one of the longer term goals for us in the band.
Cool. I saw that you're headed out west a decent amount this year, right? At least at the first part of the year. That's exciting too.
Yeah, we're headed back out west. We did that a couple of years ago, and so we're kind of revisiting some of those places that we went to, Portland and Spokane and Salt Lake City. Yeah, we're doing quite a bit of stuff out west, and then we're about to release some more dates elsewhere. So be looking out for that. Whoever's listening.
We absolutely will. I enjoyed following along on the socials last year. I'm imagining Aaron was probably involved in that, but he did a good job of keeping us updated on where y'all were. So looking forward to that again. So
Yep.
I was going to ask. You mentioned I want to make sure that people do realize, as far as you're still independent. You've been an independent artist. You're still independent. When you were kind of, even when you were stepping back into everything, and even to this day, has there been anybody that you've kind of leaned on for for answers or to answer some questions from that world, or have you just kind of been figuring it out as you
Yeah,
go?
it's been a lot of trial and error, and no, not. I really haven't asked a whole lot of questions. I know, I know a ton of people in the scene, and have been helped by a lot of people in the scene in other ways. But never like business type questions. It's always
Gotcha.
just been like, hey, let's just do it. Let's just do it our way, and hopefully it, works out and sorts itself out. And it really has for the most part. I mean, we've obviously we've made some mistakes along the way, and there's some things that I wish we would have done a little different, but that's all part of it. It's all
Part of the journey, right?
So, yeah, and it's part of being a. I don't think there's no formula for being successful in the music business. It's obviously with us, it's nobody's done what we did, take the break and come back like we did. Will Green, I'm sure you guys know William Clark Green. He said something to me. He's one of the guys that helped us originally. He gave us our first trailer. It was his first trailer.
Oh, nice.
He had quit using it. We opened for him. I think we were in Amarillo and didn't have a trailer. So it was like 5 or 6 guys in our van, plus all of our shit, all of our gear, all of our clothes, like everything was in the van. And we piled out and like taking, amps off of people's laps to try to get out. It was just a disaster. And he's like, you guys are taking everything with you in there. I'm like, yeah, man, it's the only source of transportation we have. So here we are. So we played that night, and he offered. He said, if you'll go to Tyler, Texas, sometime next week or week after, you can take that trailer. And so I did. I drove there. I think the next day or that Monday, and I was like, yeah, we need a trailer bad. So, but he helped me out there, and I think Will texted me sometime in probably like 2020 or 2021, and his text read, he's like, man, you're the only person I know that quit to go fly fishing and hunting and comes back and you're in a bus now. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know of anybody else that did it either, but thank God we did. So,
Shout out to Will. That was
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
He
super
says
cool.
quitting doesn't pay off.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
right. That's right.
That's great. I mean, I'm sure that is a topic of conversation amongst other musicians. You know what I mean? That have not just Will, but just other folks that you run across. I'm sure you hear crap from just kind of busting your balls a little bit from other folks, which is
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
going to get it for some reason.
it's never in spite. It's always just like, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
How how that
Everybody's
happened.
trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
As you said, the good songs, I think that Talbot mentioned it earlier. There's a ton of songs that that you would stand on a hill and scream, "These are great songs. How come nobody knows them?"
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. I could probably name off more songs like that people don't know right now than, top 10, country hits, it's just, but yeah,
Sure.
Same, especially these days.
that's what this business is built on. I think every business has a foundation, and the foundation of the music business in general is, untapped artists, untapped writers. Like that's the foundation of, especially our like Americana, Texas scene, is a bunch of folks that you've never heard of, and they kind of are the backbone of it. And then you got the guys that have gone out and have been huge, Parker and Co. and all those guys that have gotten the word out for all of us too. And they've helped our cause 100%. So.
Yeah, that's great.
I have one question before we get to rapid fire. So rapid fire is it's not as bad as it sounds. Also, Kolton, is there a commonly accepted, I don't know, industry belief that maybe you don't agree with? Something that everybody else kind of agrees with, but you're like, yeah, I don't.
I can think of a funny one that's kind of going to hit home with everybody. But the old saying, "You got to have a fiddle in the band." Well, we don't have a damn fiddle in the band.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
So there's that. But no, there's a lot. I mean, we've never done anything like I just said by the mold. You know, we've always kind of
Right.
just gone our own ways. So I can't think of anything off the top of my head though, besides the fiddle
Yeah,
analogy.
the fiddle's good. That's
But
fine.
that kind of
If you-
explains us really well. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you don't have to have a fiddle in the band, you know.
Yep. That's
but
why
yeah,
I
just
asked it.
kind of beating to our own drum, you know. And
Yeah.
Well,
You guys are
a lot of
fiercely
people don't
independent.
have. I'm sorry. Sorry. There are a lot
Oh,
of
no,
people
I was-
don't have fiddles in the band, but they have a different style. They have more of that rock and country sound.
Right,
You
right.
guys, you definitely could have one as far as your
Yeah.
sound goes.
Yeah.
So that, yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to ask the rapid fire questions, and then Soul Gravy has a very important question to ask you. So,
Right.
all right, Spotify Wrapped came out, I don't know, 30 days ago maybe. I don't know if you use Spotify or Apple or whatever,
Yeah.
but any idea who's at the top of your list for the last year?
Yeah, a female artist named Maggie Rogers. She was literally my top artist and all top 5 songs. And I do love her, and I listened to a ton of her new record this year. But my daughter is 2.5, and she loves Maggie Rogers,
Yeah.
like adores her music. And so when we're in the vehicle, she wants to listen to Maggie Rogers. So it was kind of half my rap, half hers.
That's
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Well, but better than Baby Shark and
Yeah,
the Wiggles, right?
for sure. Yeah,
you
no,
I
she's
know
not
some
listening
folks
to
that
any
have
of
that.
She's listening to real music for sure.
Nice.
Yeah. Good job, Dad.
Yeah, yeah.
This one I'm actually stealing from Soul Gravy. We asked it last night. We're going to ask it again. One movie or TV show, if you could have one of your songs on, what would you choose?
That's a good one. Man, if I could go back and have a song on Sons of Anarchy, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Sons of Anarchy. And it's kind of funny. Taylor Sheridan was a part of Sons of Anarchy, if you didn't know that. But
Yes.
we were fortunate to have a song in Yellowstone a couple of years ago, and so I can't say I wish we had one on that because we did. But yeah, if we could go back and have one on Sons, that'd be cool.
Yeah, very cool. Desert Island album. You get to take one album with you on a desert island, but it's only one. Which one are you taking?
Man, that's a real tough one. Probably, I mean, this just because it's relevant on my mind, that the new Maggie Rogers record that she put out this past year, it's called "Don't Forget Me." It's one of those. I don't have many records that front to back. I love every single song and
Sure.
love everything about. Like I'm pretty nitpicky when it comes to music, and I'll find something I don't like, and then it'll make me not like other parts of the record. And I've listened to that one cover to cover hundreds of times, and it's like, man, there's no skip track. There's literally like it's all 100%, just epic.
That's Nirvana when you can find that album, right? Like it's
Yeah.
as good as it gets.
Sure.
All right, dinner with one historical figure.
Davy Crockett.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Shout out to Davy Crockett.
Yeah,
All right,
I think
cool.
Davy Crockett would be cool. Davy Crockett or Lewis and Clark. Lewis and Clark would also be right up there. So
We
if
can
Davy was busy, I'd take Lewis and Clark, vice versa.
we can allow for a duo in that situation.
Yeah.
All right, curious. So I've seen you play a few times. I want to know what you see when you play.
A bunch of people looking up at me.
That's a fair.
Usually I find you end up like not connecting, but you see one or two or three or four people the whole show, and then the rest of the people are just kind of a blur, you know. And for whatever reason,
Gotcha.
it's maybe it's like a person for us, like it's an older person in the crowd. Like I know there was a few shows. There was a person in the crowd at the show we played in Chicago in 2024, and the dude was probably 75. Like he was an old man. I mean, and he knew the words. Like he was singing along, and
awesome.
His wife was there, and she was singing along, and she looked pissed off, but like she was singing. I think she was just mad because there was a lot of young kids there, you know, getting crazy. But you always kind of pick out, you know, and sometimes maybe it's a kid, you know, a 10-year-old kid that's like at his first show, or he loves our music and he's there and is just awestruck. And so kind of always see those people. I guess that's my answer, final answer.
That's a really good answer.
Yeah.
I'm always curious, but also I want to know what your ideal green room looks like.
Man, one of my favorite green rooms, and I would probably just say this is my ideal green room, is at a venue in Birmingham, Alabama called Saturn.
Yeah.
And they have an awesome green room. It's the entire second story of the venue, and it's got like 2 or 3 bedrooms. It's an apartment, like a 3-bedroom apartment. It's got like a pool table, and it's got a full kitchen. These giant bunk beds, these like queen size bunk beds, and like 3 or 4 rooms and bathrooms, and it feels like home. And so when you're on the road, that's what you want. That's what you want, a sense of that. You want a sense of home. And I tour with my wife and daughter, so having that where she can, run wide open and go play, and we can get toys out and do that whole thing is that's the ideal green room these days. And,
Very cool.
Want a few beers and a bottle of Jameson to knock the edge off, but other than that, just having room to stretch out and feel at home for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. First concert that you attended, and then first concert that you paid to go see.
First concert I attended, I went to see Eli Young Band at the I don't know what it was called at the time, but I think it's Dos Equis Pavilion now in the DFW area. And they were, oddly enough, they were opening. I didn't know. I was probably like 15 and went with a buddy that could drive to see them, but they were opening for Dave Matthews Band. And I didn't know who Dave Matthews Band was, but I quickly found out. And they played 3 hours that night. And I didn't know that they always do that. They just played and played and played, and people were smoking pot around us, and I was high as shit just from contact. And I was just like, man, this is incredible.
This band's great.
So that was my first show. It was a great one. I'm not gonna say it was like monumental in like molding me, but it definitely had a special place in the early years,
Nice.
of what a live show should look like and the energy and all that.
Top-notch players for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
These guys are great.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best. First show I paid to go to, man, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. I haven't been to just a ton of concerts. I took my wife to like the first big concert. I think we went the Maggie Rogers, this girl I'm telling you about. She played at Red Rocks this past year, and so we went to see that. And that's like probably the most I've ever paid to go see a concert. Tickets were like
expensive.
Yeah, I don't know. They were $350 a piece or something. So that's by far the most I've ever paid to go see a concert.
Maybe that's a better question. So we should ask what's the most you paid.
Yeah, what's the most you ever paid to go see a concert?
Yeah.
All right, 2 more, and then I'll hand you off. You've played some cool venues. What's on your bucket list venue?
Well, we got to play Red Rocks this year, 2024, this past year, and I mean, outside of that, like obviously, I want to headline Red Rocks one day. We opened for Co there, and I would love to headline that venue. And then, I mean, Madison Square Garden is kind of the other iconic room that I always think about going up there and playing that. So, I guess that would be it. Either one, headline Red Rocks or play at Madison Square Garden.
Those are 2 solid ones. All right, last one, slightly controversial. Tribute bands, yay or nay?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, it's a strong no. All right.
Just this, we can make this a rapid fire, so you don't have to spend a lot of time on it. But we should have talked about this earlier. But the Yellowstone thing, for your music to be featured on a show like that, just kind of give an idea of, or let everybody know what kind of something like that does for, not just you, but a lot of these independent guys that get featured on any show like that.
Man, I don't know where our listeners were before that happened, but they definitely weren't where they are now.
Okay.
So yeah, just the growth that it gave us and the exposure to not just the song that was on there, but the rest of our catalog. We've got 30 some odd songs, in the catalog right now, and it's huge. They call it the Yellowstone effect because it's a real thing. Like it really helped a lot of people out. Like if it wasn't for us being on there, I probably wouldn't have the studio and wouldn't have the house that I have. Like it's incredible what it did.
Were you kind of
But
surprised by?
yeah, and it's kind of funny how it happened with us. I got an email from Andrea Von Foster, she handles all of Sheridan's music, in all of his TV shows, in movies and everything he does. And I got an email, and I didn't know who she was at the time. And I was hunting somewhere and just scanned through the email, and I was like, "That's BS. That's not. They do not want our song on there." And maybe like 2 weeks later, got another email, and then got a call from her, and I was like, okay, well maybe this is real. So I just Googled her. Well, yeah, and that was like the first thing that came up. Works side by side with Taylor Sheridan. And I'm like, shit, this is real. I should have answered this email a week ago. And but yeah, it was it was really cool and an honor to be on there, and not just to even be on there, but like the scene, that song was in at the end of that episode was pretty epic too. I was already a fan of the show. I mean, me and my wife had watched the show, and so it was pretty sweet.
I was gonna ask that if you actually knew where it was in the show, but I didn't want to put you on the spot. But so did you know beforehand where they were gonna place it?
Yeah, I think we had to maybe like see a clip of it and give the okay or something.
Okay, I got you.
I think I can't remember exactly how that went, but we already knew where it was going to be.
I got you. That's still gotta be cool though, to be huddled up on the couch watching something that you would always watch, and then all of a sudden, Yeah,
that was a pretty neat feeling. It's like, all right, this not only am I seeing this, but the other 50 million people that watch the show are seeing it right now.
I'm sure that's nerve-wracking too, though, man.
I've already done
it was honestly pretty wild to like watch socials jump and watch the numbers jump, and then all in that same year. I think that happened in 23, but I had a song on American Idol as well. The guy that won American Idol tried out with my song, and he sang it several times throughout the whole episode or the whole season. And so like there was just a lot of things going on with our music on TV, and so it was cool. It was kind of the perfect storm for a good boost there. So
I never thought about that side of it before, as far as those TV shows like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's probably not really planned, or what, you just find out that it's happened.
Yeah, they were literally like, we got an email. It was like the memo was like urgent or please respond in all caps. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And it was from, their music manager or whatever, and saying, hey, there's been somebody try out with your song, and he's made it to I think they already knew he had made it to the final 10
okay.
before they show, because they don't, most of that show is not live, and then they get to the live thing. And so they already knew that he was to the top 10 or whatever, and he was doing well. So that was neat to see too. And that's a totally different audience. There's probably not a lot of crossover of same people watching American Idol. I mean, there's some, but it was just a different audience.
Now you know how that 70-year-old got to your show.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We talked about that. After that show. I was like, it could have been either one. It could have been Yellowstone, but it's probably American Idol.
Yeah. Well, now I know how to address my emails, so that's cool.
Yeah. If you want us to reply, I guess, me or Aaron.
Put urgent.
In all caps, I won't do that.
Emergency.
Did you have another question, Talbot, or we head to it?
No, just being a smart ass over here. Yep.
Okay, just make sure. All right. Kolton, this question was started as a joke on episode number 1, and now it is a requirement that we ask this. So,
okay.
What is your favorite Little Debbie snack?
I don't eat many of them anymore because I try to watch my weight. But an oatmeal cream pie,
Okay.
yeah, that's hard to beat. I could crush 4 or 5 of them right now if I had them in front of me.
Uh,
Nice.
understood. Completely understand.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate the time. Yeah. Make sure you follow Kolton and all the socials, wherever wherever you stream your music. Hit that follow button. And they're gonna have new music coming out. Everything is, they got everything in the works. So when they ask you to pre-save those things, do so. It helps everyone involved, especially with streaming and algorithms and all of that thing and playlists these days. It's just part of the game, and helps everyone involved. So, but again, Kolton, good luck in Memphis and with Matt and everything. I can't wait to hear how all of that sounds. So, and again, thanks for the time, man.
Yep. Thank you guys so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Appreciate it, Kolton. Thanks so much.
Yep. Adios.